Hi, it's Graham. Welcome back. A lot of our previous guests have been artists and writers, but I really want this to be about people doing all kinds of interesting, positive things in the city. I recently spoke to Kelly, who was instrumental in setting up the Brighter Mindset counselling service based in the city centre and really designed to be accessible for everyone. We also talked a little about men's mental health and designing services that work for men. Now, I'll hand it over to Kelly to introduce herself.
My name's Kelly, I'm from Brighter Mindset CIC, one of the newest counselling services in Wolverhampton. So the organisation itself relaunched in June 2025. I've run a counselling service before, so I know how valuable it is in the city of Wolverhampton and how much need there is for mental health support. I think my interest, want and passion to support people comes from different places. The first thing is, I've received support myself in the past and recognised how beneficial that was. Also being part of a counselling service in the past. Recognised the need for it in Wolverhampton. And then wanting to support more people, and I decided to become a student counsellor myself in September 2025, something I'd been putting off for quite a while. So
were you working in something else before you got into counselling?
Yeah, so I'm a qualified nurse and I'm still nursing now in the NHS. So that's my profession and has been for the last 15 years. And even in that service, which is not related to mental health, I see people coming through who are struggling, sitting on endless waiting lists. So wanted to do something about that. I've always been the type of person who sees a gap in services and tries to fill that gap, but hopefully making it accessible for everyone.
And I think whatever people first come into a service for, there's almost always much more going on underneath.
Yeah, even when we get the referrals coming through, people might be quite vague on their reason for needing counselling, and it's not until you offer them that safe and secure and confidential space that actually the work begins and they start to open up. And yeah, it turns out to be a lot more than the original referral form. Yeah.
Because I worked for Citizens Advice for quite a few years, so I'm very aware a lot of the people that we saw had lots of underlying issues that were contributing to whatever they were coming into us for. So
yeah. And we're living in a city that is considered deprived. We know that there is a financial crisis, and counselling is a luxury that many can't afford. So by setting up and launching Brighter Mindset, we aimed to cater for everyone.
It's important that it's accessible for everybody.
Absolutely. It shouldn't be a privilege. You know, if you've got a physical ailment, you will go to your GP, albeit you might wait for an appointment. But normally the GP will offer you a solution to that, whether it be medication or referral to a different department. You know, that tends to happen relatively quickly. That's not the case with mental health. The GP might offer you a phone number to call and put yourself on the waiting list. But we have to remember that a lot of people will reach out at the latest point where they're really struggling. We want to avoid that. We want people to recognise when they need help at the earliest point so that we can support them, but also we are there if somebody has been thinking about this for a long time or something awful has happened, to send them off kilter and they just need someone to talk to, then we're there for them.
So do you want to tell me a bit more about the process of setting it up and kind of what that was like for you?
So setting it up, I've had experience of setting up the CIC. So it wasn't as scary as it was the first time I had that experience, and I've run bigger organisations in the past, so I do come with some knowledge, some experience. When we launched, I suppose it was a little bit of a slow burner for a month or so, and that always causes a little bit of anxiety for me, thinking, oh, have we done it at the right time? Have we got the right amount of people on board? And then referrals started to drip feed through as people got to hear about us. And then in November, just in time for Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, we received a pot of funding from the National Lottery, which allowed us to specifically support men. And it was something that I was keen to do after speaking to a number of men's support groups. And we actually took the opinions of the men at those support groups, and I went in there, and we know that men don't reach out as early as women do often, and men are really struggling in silence. And so my question to the group of guys was, what would make you reach out for support? And they were absolutely brilliant, talking about the colour scheme and the name of the project, and from that, Project MOT was born. So we launched it at the beginning of Men's Mental Health Month, and I was just wowed by the amount of referrals we got from that, just by tailoring it a little bit differently. And people who go online will see our referral form for Project MOT, which is Men Only Therapy. And we do offer, of course, services to anyone else over the age of 18, but this is specifically for men, recognising the gap and recognising the statistics, sadly, that still exist on male suicide, and wanting to do something about that. We were inundated with referrals from men, and it's honestly a privilege to be able to support them. And of course, you're not just supporting that man, you're supporting their wider circle, their family, their children, their partner, and wider extended family and friends as well.
Okay. So do you have many male counsellors?
Well, the counselling world is disproportionately affected by the female-male ratio, and we do naturally see more female counsellors coming through. But we're building quite a portfolio of male counsellors now, both student and qualified. Quite often, the men coming through don't have a preference about whether they wish to be placed with a male or female counsellor. Only more recently have we seen an increase in requests for male counsellors. And that's something we're planning to do moving forward, just broaden our range of male counsellors available, because it's important that if someone requests that we're able to fulfil. If someone says that they will feel more comfortable working with a man, then absolutely we will try to do that.
And I think it's important that men see it as a good career to go into. It's not perceived as being a more female-dominated career. Yeah,
we need more male counsellors. Even just in the cohort of counsellors that I'm in my learning establishment, you're looking at probably about 85 to 90% of those being female and of a similar demographic to me. And we need to diversify that. We need to offer representation. And we also need to break down the stigma of men talking and men being there available to talk to as well.
Can I ask you, did you grow up in Wolverhampton? Are you from the area?
Did.
You did, okay.
I'm born and bred Wolverhampton, yes.
Okay. So, what's your experience of living in the city? What does that mean to you?
It's Wolverhampton. We know people have poor views about it because of the level of deprivation, but I feel that you get that any city you go to, and Wolverhampton is no different. What I've found both in this organisation and in previous organisations is there's some really good hearts out there, some really true and kind people who work tirelessly to support others in various different sectors, and that's really important that you have those connections, other people who are willing to go that extra mile for someone else. For me, it's more important about, whilst you're here, what can you do to help other people who are not so fortunate or who might be struggling for whatever reason. And that gives me pride in the work that I do, in ensuring that the level of service that we offer is the same as if you were going and paying an absolute fortune for it in central London, and a service that you can rely on, feel comfortable and work through whatever it is that's difficult in your world.
Yeah, and that everybody should have access to good quality services wherever you are.
It shouldn't be a privilege for the few.
Yeah, and it's the people that make the place.
It really is. And I'm just super proud of what we've managed to build. We've got a real lovely little family, student counsellors and qualified counsellors that care for each other as well as the clients.
Thank you to Kelly for that. To find out more about Brighter Mindset or counselling in general, I put a couple of links in the description below. If you want to support this podcast, take a moment to follow on Spotify, Apple or YouTube and share with someone else who might like to hear it. I hope you have a good day and catch you in the next one.